What's going on, guys? Welcome back to 100% Chelsea and welcome to your sofa review. In surroundings we'd probably rather not be in, especially within there. Chris Pajak from the Redmen TV. Smug. It took me 30 seconds of walking in the door for someone to mention yesterday.
I mean, it's literally why you're here, Louis. It was hardly surprising.
Yeah, I know, but...
And had it been the other way around, I'm not sure you'd have taken 30 seconds. You'd have probably come in knowing you, screaming, Chelsea, Chelsea, or whatever it is.
No, I wouldn't have done. That would have been Scott, to be fair.
Would it?
No, I wouldn't. That would have been Lewis.
It would have been... Actually, no, it would have been Lewis. It wouldn't have been us. I'd sit there and just grin because you'd know what I'm thinking. Because, you know, me and Chris have like a telepathic connection. I know exactly what he's thinking right now. And if Liverpool win the league, the hashtag Pajak Nudes thing is going to come back. But, you know, it's kind of a case of... We had to come. Chris asked me. I said we'd do a collab. So I went, you know what? Just grin and bear it. We'll get straight into it. How are you feeling?
Great. Top of the world, actually. I thought Liverpool did brilliantly second half. I thought first half I didn't think the performance was quite there. I thought Chelsea did really well. And both teams did really well in a pressing sense. I thought... Ruben Loftus-Cheek was unbelievable first half for me. I thought he ran the centre of the pitch, and every time he looked dangerous, it came from a central area from him. I think we did really well second half to sort of come out and just blitzkrieg it, to be honest with you, and not let you breathe and get a couple of goals up. And then once that was it, once Hazard missed those couple of chances, that was the game over, really.
Yeah, no, it was literally that way inclined. It's a nightmare. But I mean, look, Scott, I don't know how to answer it. I mean, just looking at him annoys me, so I'm going to turn to you for 30 seconds. Cool. Because Chris is just grinning and being smug. So, what did you think of the game yesterday? What did you think of Liverpool, namely? And then you two can engage in a battle.
I thought Liverpool were good. I don't think that you were at the heights that we've seen, like in a game against Arsenal in other games this season. But I thought that was more down to us containing you well in the first half. Second half, you said you came out and those 10 minutes just completely destroyed us. The thing I liked about Liverpool was their midfield. Yeah. I think everything gets talked about your front three, but not enough gets talked about your midfield. Fabinho, when we first saw him, I think it was his first game was actually the cup game when we came down here, we won, and people were like, is he all that? Is he really good enough? But we've seen in other games, and then Henderson as well was brilliant. Keita was decent. He probably wasn't as brilliant, but I think that's just down to the fact he's not been entirely up to it the whole season. But yeah, I thought your midfield were brilliant, particularly in the second half.
Was that now only Keita's sixth start this season, wasn't it?
Is that all?
It was his fifth or sixth start. That's the stat I saw.
Wow, I thought we were up to like number 10, and I think maybe it might have been total appearances. So I thought we were up to 10 and 9 wins and 1 draw, or something like that going into the game, to be honest. So I could be wrong on that one, but he has turned it on the last couple of weeks. You know, he's obviously got a couple of goals in the last couple of weeks, and he looks like the player that I think we all hoped we'd signed. We saw him, obviously we got to watch him for a year at RB Leipzig, absolutely tear up the Bundesliga, and it's been a period of adjustment for him, but it feels like Liverpool are hitting form at the right time in this campaign, and it feels like we're getting players back, crucially. Henderson being able to play that 8, I think Scott's right, is a massive bonus for Liverpool, because he's been used in the 6 for so long, but he's got such a good engine, he likes to get forward, and he seems to have almost a telepathic understanding with Salah on that right-hand side, considering they've only played together for 2.5 games over there. They look brilliant together, and they're a real difference maker for us at the moment.
I think the Fabinho and Henderson, I mean, the best way to describe the pair of them is shithouses after yesterday. I thought Fabinho, right, Did you see this on Twitter? Because I'm sure you must have done. Did you see the snot rocket he did on Hazard when Hazard went down injured?
I mean, I saw him blow his nose near Hazard.
It looked like it was right over the top of Hazard, or was it the camera angle? What do you?
I've only seen it on the camera angle. I didn't notice it when it was live. It looked to me like he just bent over and snotted on the floor. The referee was right next to him, and crucially, Hazard doesn't react. Yeah. And I think had it hit Hazard, had it been aimed at Hazard, Hazard would, and the Chelsea players would have reacted, but nobody reacted, which tells me it's a non-incident.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Chelsea players would have, and I know Liverpool players would have reacted if it was the other way around.
Yeah, I think it was probably the heat of the moment last night when I saw it on Twitter. I just got really angry. and did what a lot of people did and just started slamming their keyboards. But I mean,
Caps lock on.
yeah, it literally was. I took the point where it was Michael Oliver that was reffing yesterday, was literally looking at Fabinho doing it, and I was there like, why did you not send him off? What's that for? And then now we've kind of slowed down. The beauty of these sofa reviews is you can kind of go through it all and take the emotion out of it post game. But I mean, like for Fabinho and Henderson, both as players, Henderson, if you'd asked me 2 or 3 years ago, he was a banter player. Like he was someone you'd laugh at. You'd see Henderson and you'd be like, there's nothing to worry about. Now, like the physicality, the presence, he's really. I never thought when he was made Liverpool captain that he would step up to the plate as much as he has. Have you seen a development under Klopp with Henderson, and do you think he's up there now as a great leader?
I mean, I do, but Scott wants to say something.
Do you know what it was? The moment I realised that he was actually a very good player was England. The World Cup, playing in that deep role where you'd thought you'd need someone physical, you'd need someone that actually had an eye for a pass, which everyone has laughed at Henderson. He only plays sideways and backwards. It's quite ironic now. We've got someone who only plays sideways and backwards for the most part. Yeah. And it was that England where he played brilliantly in sort of the deep lying playmaker role that he had. Yeah. And he's carried that on to this season.
Yeah, Henderson's, I mean, he's a player that I've always liked. He's a player that I've always respected. I remember back to that 13-14 season, funny enough, and one of the reasons I don't think Liverpool were able to win the title, many reasons, of course, and you guys know one of those, is the fact that Henderson was suspended for that game. He picked up a booking against Manchester City and missed the stretch, and we massively missed him in that engine room. He was a box-to-box midfielder back then. He's done a job for the last year and a half from the Jurgen Klopp in the six. I think he's done an okay job. I think he's been very, very good in parts, but unfortunate with his injury record and stuff. So he was the best we had for that role, and now that we've got Fabinho, who is better in that number 6 than Jordan Henderson, we're able to see Jordan Henderson back in his natural position. But I think it's mad because sometimes when football players don't do something, they get worse, in your opinion. Henderson got a worse 8 for not playing there. He didn't, actually. He's just as good an 8 as he was. It's just the fact that we didn't see him there. Adam Lallana's a bad player when he's been injured. You're not seeing him. I think all fans do this. When you're out the limelight, you're automatically think they're shit. And it's just too reactionary from us. They're not shit players. Chelsea don't have shit players. Liverpool don't have shit players. They just don't. They're not shit. I mean, they're not shit. They're not.
They're not shit. But I think a prime example would be Marcus Alonso. Marcus Alonso is a superb wing back. Left back, I could do a better job. And you've seen me play football, Chris.
I would say that you can't.
I can, trust me.
You can't.
I'm faster than Marcus Alonso.
You are not.
Trust me.
You would, as happens when we played in a game together, you will blow yourself out in the first 10 minutes, and that's you done and dusted.
I didn't even
get 10 minutes. I'm sure you do that in many walks of your life. You blow yourself out in 2 minutes, and you'd have nothing left in the tank.
To be honest, Chris, as a fat man, if I know what you're addressing, I don't know when I'm next going to give it, so I always get 110% on those occasions. But I think, moving back to the football, Chris, because, we are adults here, okay? We need should pretend to be adults at least. Because, you're quite childish because we play 6 quite a lot. And I want to do that later because I've got better at it, by the way.
What?
Pez.
Oh, right, sounds okay.
Batter you, yeah?
No, you won't.
No, probably.
I've literally been playing that game for 15 years or something, since, with no breaks. Like everyone else is getting the new ones, I'm just still playing PES 6. It's fine.
No, that is the best one. That's the only PES I actually like. But we're going off on a tangent. Where were we? We're talking about Henderson and Fabinho, and right, there are some players where you say that they're not shit, but I think prime examples of players that have turned it around, and when I think Liverpool signed them especially, I think some of these Jurgen Klopp players. There have been some duds. I think, Klavan. I don't know what's happened to that.
Klavan wasn't a dud.
He wasn't a dud, but he wasn't all there. He wasn't the best. But it's kind of a case of, I think, like the Mario Grujic guy, but...
He's a player, apparently.
What's happened to him? Is he on loan?
He's on loan at Hertha Berlin.
Yeah, he's doing really well for them. This is the problem. We're too reactionary as fans. We don't understand the long game, and we're not willing. We haven't got the patience. It's all down to the 24-hour news cycle and Sky drama, over-dramatising everything. Literally the game hasn't finished, and they're telling you the next best game's coming in 4 days' time, and they're ignoring the Champions League because they don't have the rights, and it's just this constant cycle where we just get too much information. We're not able as humans to process it all. And I look at players like Mo Salah's a perfect example. He's not a shit player.
No.
He'd do well at Chelsea, particularly. But there was extenuating circumstances. Was he given the opportunities under Jose Mourinho? Question marks like this. So when a player comes into a side, you've got to give them the ability to shine. And you've got to play a system that suits them first and foremost, with players close to them that they understand, and they have to work well on the training ground in return for that. Marcos Alonso, as you say, really good wing back. Doesn't mean he's a shit player. He's just not a good left back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But unfortunately, he's been used at left back because Sarri doesn't have tools that he think are better. In some instances, I saw that guy yesterday who was playing left back. He looked shit to me. And I've just been sat here saying there's no shit players, but you said to me, he's the lesser of two evils. Now against Mo Salah, I thought he had the worst of it yesterday. Mo Salah for Roma was brilliant. Mo Salah for Liverpool was brilliant. It's about who your manager is, how they're willing to utilise you, and whether you're going to get the opportunities to showcase your skills.
Well, I mean, Mo Salah, he said that in an interview, didn't he? He said at Chelsea just didn't feel at home, whereas Liverpool, you can see it. He just feels comfortable. And I mean, yesterday when he celebrated against us, a lot of Chelsea were saying, that's karma for Prague and all that sort of stuff as well. And yeah, if I was in Mo Salah's position, I would have gone right to the other end of the pitch and done that. I'd have been right in the Chelsea fans' faces. But I think another part of it is the fact that you just look at I look at again Twitter, when you looked at the celebrations, all the players were around him. There was a massive team mentality, and you don't have that at Chelsea. You don't have us versus them mentality. You have Eden Hazard and other little cliques in the club, and I think that, again, that's something which it damages us. I mean, that might just be me. I mean, for me, I think I'm a socialist. I'm very left wing in terms of how I like to think, and I like the whole togetherness factor. But we don't see that at Chelsea. I mean, we'll move on to us now. What did you think of us in that second half, and what do you think of Sarri?
I think Sarri needs more time if they're willing to give it to him. I think he's a good coach who will implement his tactics if he's got the right players to implement them. I disagree with some of the Chelsea fans that I've seen talking about, he's too stubborn and stuff like that. I believe that all sports people at the highest level are stubborn. It's what's got them there. I'll take it back to a Liverpool player. I've seen too many people talking about religion and football. When Daniel Sturridge has talked about another ex-Chelsea player, and is why does he do all this? It literally got him to the top of the Premier League. You know what I mean? And this is how these players deal with these situations. It's what gets them through. They all seem to be really superstitious. You wouldn't tell him to stop putting his socks on the right order and all that type of stuff. Players and managers especially are very egotistical. Especially offensive guys, they always believe that their offense is going to beat a defensive coach. Sarri has got to become Chelsea manager by playing a certain way. Now, that may have taken him 20 years to refine. He's not going to change what he believes in because he's had a sticky patch for 3 months with players that he doesn't have, that aren't all his players, that he hasn't had the training time with. Why would he rip his fucking Bible up because a few Chelsea fans think it's not working? Are they managers? Why would he listen to them? They've not done anything in the game. He's created and assembled an incredible Napoli side, and he hasn't been given the time to showcase what he can do at Chelsea. I believe that Chelsea have been, whether it's fortunate or not over the last few years, Chelsea and Real Madrid seem to be the only teams that can change management and successfully win trophies. I always thought that is an incredibly difficult thing to do for the long term. Chelsea have run out of managers who've won loads of trophies to try, so they had to try a different route. And unfortunately, because of the way that you have rotated your managers when there's been a period of not quite success, you've gotten used to that, and you think that that's the way to do it. There's loads of ways to do it. You could do it Manchester City's way and spend loads of money, which was arguably Chelsea's way a few years ago.
That was Chelsea's
way. Or you could do it Liverpool's way. And again, we haven't won any trophies yet, but we've built steadily to something exactly the same as Manchester United did 30 years ago. I mean, there are loads of ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
But if you've picked a manager that his philosophy requires patience, you have to give him that patience.
I mean, I agree. I think that's the angle I'm taking on it. where I'm kind of looking at it, giving it that patience, and just saying, look, let's see what happens. That's why I'm sat on the fence with it. But I am adamant that, you know, if next January we've not seen an improvement, you know, he's had 3 transfer windows. If we don't get this ban, that's when I look at it and go, you know, he's had 3 opportunities there to try and refine and improve, and he hasn't managed to do that. I think, you know, the money thing you brought up with City, I think they have spent a lot of money, but they've also had the right infrastructure. Same goes for United. You guys, to be fair, over the past 2 windows, you have spent a lot of money. I mean, 75 million on Van Dijk, 50 million on Alisson for just those 2 positions alone.
More than that for Alisson, mate.
Was it more?
Yeah, it was about 65, something like that, yeah.
Jesus.
But here's the thing, our defence was assembled for £83 million. Oh. So, people keep throwing out 75 million for Alisson. We spent 8 on Robbo. Matip's a free.
Gomez is
and Trent Alexander-Arnold came through the ranks. And that was the defence that played against you yesterday. So for all this, Liverpool have spending a shit ton of money, and we have.
You spent it correctly.
We've spent it in the right manner. You know,
Yeah.
Gomez, who I believe will be the starting centre back in the future, was bought for £3.5 million from Charlton. Andy Robertson, £8 million from Hull. Trent brought through the ranks, and a goalkeeper. Liverpool have needed a goalkeeper since the Premier League began. We've had 2 or 3 good seasons from Pepe Reina in that time. Other than that, they've all been shit. Generally speaking, I am totally fine with Liverpool spending big money. We underpaid for Mane at 34. We underpaid for Salah at 36. We got Roberto Firmino for 30. They're all £100 million players now. In the centre of the park, Henderson was bought for 15 million. Fabinho, 50 million. Keita, 50 million. You know, we've spent wisely, but when we haven't been able to build out a squad yet. And that's what we're just in the process of doing now, where the guys behind the first team are good enough to make sure that you don't lose momentum when you go into there. And Manchester City have spent millions and billions assembling their squad over the last few years and stuff. We're nowhere near that, but we are spending money now, and that's a good thing. You know, but we have built to this stage.
Yeah, I mean the thing for me, and so FSG brought you from the brink. What have they done over the past decade behind the scenes to see what has become this great Liverpool side that we're seeing today?
Well, they came in with this policy, this Moneyball policy that they brought over from the Boston Red Sox, which they took a side that hadn't won the baseball league for a long time and stuff, and then they won it. So they brought that across, and then they decided they were going to try and find value, and they were going to buy young players at low cost and sell them at high cost and stuff like that. And we've done that, but they've made some faux pas along the way as well. You know, they spent big on Andy Carroll, complete mistake. And then what happened was they made a few big signings that didn't work out, and then they decided, you know what, we need someone who can take the reins, and he brought a guy called Michael Edwards, who runs the transfer committee or whatever it is, with Jurgen Klopp and a couple of other people. They're fully in control of transfers, and they brought in a guy called Peter Moore, who was originally from Liverpool, who worked at EA Sports, who worked at Sega, who worked at Xbox. As a big CEO kind of guy, and he's now in running the business of the football club and the commercial direction of the football club, and leaves the other guys alone to run the football side of things. So off the pitch, we've got the commercial stuff running perfectly with Peter Moore at the helm, and he's also managing to bring the club closer to the fans again, which is something that we as Liverpool fans really want as a socialist city, as a socialist club. We think that's a massively important thing. They could do better, of course they could, but they are moving in the right direction, and the football side's moving right. And we crucially, you know, I was one of the guys that wanted Ancelotti in when we got Jurgen Klopp, because I thought that he's a serial winner. But as soon as Jurgen Klopp did that first press conference, I realised I was wrong, because we got the right manager for us. Now, Jurgen Klopp might not be a great Chelsea manager, not like what I'm saying with the players. You know, Mo Salah might not be a great fit at Chelsea, but he's a great fit at Liverpool Football Club. Jurgen Klopp is a great fit for us as a fan base and as a club, and he gets us and we get him. And we're getting more than 100% because the marriage is right.
And that's the point that I want to make. Literally, everything I've been saying on the channel for the past 6 months has been angled towards that, where you've had football being dealt with by the football people, commercial stuff being dealt with by the commercial people, and Jurgen Klopp fitting Liverpool Football Club. This is the biggest thing, because you saw obviously at Dortmund how much they as a social power they became basically with Klopp as well. And obviously Liverpool become that as well. And like we're saying, obviously, you know, having family from Liverpool and understanding what Liverpool's like as a city, he is the perfect fit. And I think if you look at Pep Guardiola, he's the right fit for Manchester City. If you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they may not be on the best run, but right now he is the best fit for Manchester United. Do you like the revolving door policy with Chelsea has meant that there has been no identity? There is no identity at Chelsea.
I think one of the biggest things, what you touched on, Klopp being a right fit, is that one of the sort of the things that, or one of the moments that a lot of people, a lot of other fans take the piss out of Liverpool for is the 2-2 draw with West Brom. All the players and Klopp in the corner celebrating, or they're celebrating a draw. I think it speaks to more than that. It's the fact that the bond that Klopp has created with these players and then created with the fans, there's an entire connect between all of them. And I think that's the biggest thing. I mentioned on the preview we did that early in the season there was a problem. I think Henderson came off. He was a bit annoyed he got substituted. Klopp went up to him straight away, I think, talked him down. They talked, it was all fine. And I don't think any Chelsea manager, and since Mourinho pretty much the first time, and that's what, 16 years ago, has had that bond with the players. No one's really had that connect with the players that the Klopp does, and I think that speaks volumes to how you're now working as a club.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think Liverpool are as a collection of 11 players, I don't think we're as good as Manchester City, but I think as a team we are. And I think that's, a team is more than the sum of its parts, isn't it? And that's what Liverpool are doing now with Klopp at the helm. And, that West Brom stuff, the whole country laughed at us. We're not arsed. Carry on laughing. We're not bothered. We're enjoying ourselves. That's what it is. We're first of all, we're privileged to be Liverpool fans because it could be a lot fucking worse. And secondly, we enjoy football. And people go on us and go like, you fucking, like the stuff after the game. I saw loads of Chelsea fans, City fans, United fans in the comments going, you'll eat your words. What? If you can't celebrate a win, what can you celebrate in football? I'm not celebrating Liverpool winning the league yesterday. I'm celebrating 3 points against Chelsea. You're telling me I can't celebrate until the season's done. I ain't going to have anything to celebrate, mate. I've had fucking nearly 30 years of no league titles. I take the wins where I can get them, and the defeats hurt and we get them as well.
Which is exactly it. You saying there was a massive cloud hang over Liverpool in our review that we did obviously on Redmen. Do you feel that Liverpool now, do you see that difference between that 13-14 team under Brendan Rodgers and this Jurgen Klopp team? Do you think that what was missing in that season under Brendan Rodgers is now there under Klopp, and do you really think you guys can go all the way?
The team's not the same. There was one person who played yesterday who featured in the game in 13-14, and it was Mo Salah.
And he was on the other side.
Yeah, and he was playing for you. So we can draw comparisons because we remember it. The players don't give it. Fabinho doesn't give a shit what happened to the 13-14 Liverpool side. Nothing to do with him. Yeah. Why will he be tarnished with that brush? He won't. They don't think like that. They're serial winners, footballers, all across the Premier League. They're the best of the best of the best to get to the Premier League. Don't think about what a team fucking 10 years ago did. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't make any difference to them. But I do think that Liverpool can do it this season. I don't think that Liverpool will bottle the league this season. Liverpool might lose the league, and if City win it, they'll be deserved winners. Yeah. And if Liverpool win it, we'll be deserved winners. You're not bottling a league on 90 points. Which is what Liverpool, I think we're on 85 with 4 games to go. That's not bottling anything. Chelsea might have bottled the league this season because they're fucking 30 points behind us or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Liverpool haven't bottled nothing, and if we don't win it, we don't win it. Sounds. I think we're at the beginning of a cycle here, and we'll be back next year, and we might not win it next year. There's 20 teams vying for a Premier League. One team can win it a season. There's going to be 19 disappointed teams. The likelihood is you're going to be one of those disappointed teams.
Wow, I think that rounds it off quite well. That was.
Couldn't say it
better. That got me right here. That end bit right in the feels. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, obviously make sure you subscribe to 100% Chelsea. All social medias are down in the description: Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. I want to thank Big Chris Pajak for coming on and allowing us to use this fine studio, apart from the stuff that's on the walls. But I mean, obviously, we can ignore that. We are in Liverpool. I mean, it looks nice, but it's not quite to my taste. Anyway.
Looks good, doesn't it?
It does. But
that one behind you looks really good. That was an important year as well.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it was. Chelsea won the league that
year.
But listen, guys, thank you very much for watching. Check out the Redmen TV for my thoughts with Chris post-game. Obviously, make sure you vote for us in the FBA'S. And if you're that way inclined, you can vote for the Redmen as well, if you like them. I mean, Chris, look at him. He will take his clothes off if he wins. I reckon that'll happen.
The FBA'S?
Yeah.
That depends on how much alcohol I've drank.
You're going to be there?
Probably not this year, I don't think. We're up for 3 awards, so you don't get many tickets, do you? And they're a little bit too rich for my blood.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and send a few different people this year.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, you are up against us in the women's category, so may the best woman win, obviously, because we're not actually doing it, because it's the lovely ladies teams that are doing that. But yeah, guys, listen, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later.